Ladies and gentlemen, I'm working with Pak Rosan basically because every year I have a 1 billion rolling over grant for all institutions, and most of them come from the Gates only, like Global Fund. Yeah. And that is where I learned that in developed country, the philanthropy funding average is 2% of. So the potential in Indonesia with 1.5 trillion GDP is 30 billion US dollar per annum. However, many Indonesians would like to give, but the money they get, they go through Indonesia, but through other countries. Because during COVID, I received a lot of grant from Pak Mukhtar, Sinarwijaya, from Tanoto Foundation, but through other countries. The reason is because we don't have a trusted entities, because trust cannot be forced. It has to be earned. So that's why I talked with Pak Rosan, maybe we can establish, copying what Temasek Trust has, creating a Danantara Trust. And I wish Pak Bill, you can sit at the board with Pak Ray Dalio, your friends, because Pak Ray Dalio and Bill Gates also sit at the board of the Chinese philanthropic education. Pak Rosan have the apple of money as a catalytic functions, and I believe all of our friends here can contribute also, and you can also help to contribute. And Pak Gates have a systematic management that can help us earning the trust for these people so they can start giving the money to us. Thank
you. Mr. Gates, would it be possible to talk about non-health issues today?
Certainly.
Thank you. My understanding is that you're very interested and you've invested a lot of money in renewable energy. I've had several meetings with one of your partners, Edward Young, who is one of your partners, I believe still is one of your partners. So I'd like to know your thoughts about nuclear energy, SMRs. I understand you're in fact investing in Wyoming on nuclear energy, SMRs. You may know that our government is going to embark on a very ambitious nuclear power generation program. The second thing is on nature-based solutions. I'm very much into nature-based solutions and environmental issues. Reforestation, basically, is my passion, wildlife, and through wildlife, reforestation, and restore habitats for wildlife. So I'd like to know what you wanted to do and where you're going with your nuclear and your views on nature-based solutions. Thank you.
Yeah, so, as I started doing the foundation work, it became clear to me that we need low-cost electricity to help countries develop. But I also started to be educated about climate change and, understanding that we have to reduce emissions eventually to zero. And so I talked to my friends about, okay, can we make nuclear energy cheap? So I started a company in 2006 that's called TerraPower to make what's called the 4th generation reactor. Today's reactors are water cooled and they have a lot of pressure in the reactor. So they're a bit complicated, so often the cost can be very high. And so I thought, it's very hard to start a new design, but that would be a huge benefit. And so now it's taken longer than we expected. We started out as being a joint venture in China, and then the US government decided they didn't like us working in China. And so we had to change, and actually now, as you said, we're building our first reactor in the United States. There's a lot of countries that really need nuclear energy. And so we have to make it cheap, and we have to show that this new design is extremely safe. And places like Japan, South Korea, France, the UK, they have in their plans a desire to use nuclear energy, but right now the plants are expensive. And so we are hoping, as we build 20 of these reactors, that the cost can be very low. Part of that will be through a very strong partnership we have with some companies in South Korea. Hyundai and SK are investors in this work. And so in 2030, that first reactor will turn on. And so during that decade, we would hope to build over 30 gigawatts.
If it's okay, I would like to welcome Mr. Gates. My name is Arini Subianto. I'm from Persada Capital Investama. In fact, I just met with Microsoft last Monday, Microsoft Education, and I asked them what can they do for Indonesian education. I'm primarily working with a few CSRs within my work, and we learned that we really need to address the quality of teaching, because otherwise there's no way for us to increase the quality of education if the teaching faculties are not standard. And I learned from the Microsoft team that you actually have the Copilot AI, which enables self-teaching for a lot of teachers or teaching faculty. And the question that I asked on Monday, which now I'm going to address to you, is there any way that we could actually collaborate more and give more? Because I would like to actually knock on doors, buat bapak-bapak di sini to everyone that's present here, because the government will not be able to do it alone. The private sector needs to actually contribute in eradicating illiteracy and improving the teaching quality. Hence, we can actually achieve higher order thinking. Unfortunately, that is the biggest hurdle that we experience in finding new talent in employment. And I heard Bapak Presiden had pushed for the AI learning and everything. Unfortunately, we don't have the infrastructure in terms of the brain capacity to even think properly to create simple tasks. So I wonder if we could actually use your Copilot to be deployed to around Indonesia using the hands of CSRs, because there's no way we can do this alone. No way one party can do it alone. Using the tools of everybody's CSRs, as you said, nobody trusts to give money to people they don't know, like Pak Budi had said, and I completely agree with that. So if they know everyone that sits here and actually working for the same cause and the same vision, the basic need that we need is to help our teachers, teaching faculties all over Indonesia, from maybe -10 to become -5, -5 to become 0, and hopefully the more elite education could become more global standard. So it's a very big question, but that's basically the essence. Thank you.
Yeah, so, obviously I think, if you've got two things that help the future of your country, that health and education, would go together. The healthier the kids are, less stunting, malnutrition, the more they can be educated, and then, of course, the more they're educated, then their, economic output allows the government to put more into health, and you get this virtuous cycle. If you look at education statistics in this region, the two exemplars would be Singapore and Vietnam. Singapore is kind of amazing, which is, okay, they're rich and it's partly cultural, but their education outcomes are really amongst the best in the world. Vietnam, for its level of income, is the best in the world. They run, and it's not through the use of technology. I'm a huge believer that, particularly as you get up into high school and college, that having access to these learning tools, these tutoring tools from AI will help. But the key thing that allows a country to be an exemplar is that they train the teachers well and they have very high expectations for the teachers.